everybody. It's the Dead Time Radio Show. I'm Billy. I'm here with Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
And we want to just say hi to everybody. We want to thank everybody for listening. We're having fun. I think you guys are loving what you're hearing. That's a good sign. Give us an email at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. Send us comments. Send us feedback. We have some really awesome feedback, by the way, Dawn, from a couple people that sent us some emails.
Super cool.
And
thanks for sending us emails.
Right?
We like stories.
Of course, Katie sends us emails.
I love Katie.
Because we love her.
She's my bestie. Yeah.
And she's awesome. And she says, and this is a public service announcement for all you listeners. Seriously, the rest of the listeners need to chime in here because I literally sound like a stalker since I'm the only one that emails. Since the only emails I ever hear are from me. Okay. We love Katie.
Love you, Katie.
But, Katie, we got another email from someone else.
We got another email.
Bam!
Bam!
Another one of Dawn's friends, Dee.
Yeah.
Sent us a message about when we were talking about the flies.
This was at her house.
And the creepy Amityville horror house. And the Exorcist movie. She said, yes, the flies really happened. And besides the Exorcist movie, how about Rosemary's Baby? That was also pretty freaky. Okay, guys, I finally got around to starting. Oh, I can't read the rest of this here. Oh, wait a minute. All right, so she also says, I want to find it and watch it again. It's been so many years. I was really young when it came out, so I watched it at about 11 or 12 years old. But I remember being really scared. Still love scary movies, not the stupid ones where they don't have a great plot. But the creepy, realistic, drama-filled ones are good. I agree. Dee.
Thanks, Dee. I love you.
So there you go, people. Email actually works.
Yeah.
You should try it out. It's this newfangled technology.
You just put it in there, the Dead Time Radio.
Right.
And then you put a little @ sign.
Right.
And then you type in Gmail. And then a little period. And then COM.
And if people don't know what the @ sign is, it's Shift 2 on your keyboard.
And then you hit compose, and then you just start typing or talking. I guess they can be talk to text.
You type words, and the words go onto a screen, and then you click a button that says send, and it comes right to us.
And it's like looks like a little mail, a little triangle-y part.
And it's fabulous.
We read it on the radio.
So,
it's Monday.
Yeah, we're a little hyper today because we had a very crazy weekend.
Man.
And young William here worked 5 days straight.
5 third shifts, dude.
So
it's gonna be a good one.
Everybody's probably like, 5 days? What are you, a pussy? No, that's 2 10s and 3 12s.
3 12s, yeah.
In a hospital.
In a very busy trauma.
Right.
2 that should be a trauma 1 hospital.
Right. It's
not. Because we don't have a radiologist on third shift. So that's why we found out we don't have a radiologist, because we're trauma 2. But we do more trauma 1s than any place I've ever worked.
So
and not categorized as trauma.
So those of you that think that it's just an office gig, okay, I could easily do like 15, 16 hours in an office gig.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Okay.
No question.
Working with crazy methed out people who have decided to stab their loved one.
Or in the neck.
In the neck. Is what we deal with on a nightly basis.
Almost decapitated, yeah. It's nice.
In fact,
good things.
We had a gentleman that was methed out a week ago, and he decided to put his head through the sliding glass door window of the emergency room.
He escaped, and the cop left. The cop said, I'm just going to leave. I'm done with this guy. She'd been there for 8 hours, and it was just ridiculous. So all of us were left in danger. And he tried to run out the door, and he was holding up a chair, and he threw it at the security guard, and he ran out the door, and then he came back and put his head through the glass, the ambulance entrance glass. And yeah, it's just
another typical night at our hospital.
Yep.
All right, so tonight's episode, now that we got all that out, is
I feel better. I feel good.
Famous bitches in history.
Bitches.
Now, the criteria for this, we were going to call it Karens of history.
Or Debbie Downers.
Right.
You know.
But the problem is you type that in Google and you really don't find anything other than like the history of Karen, which of course is, depending on where you go, we'll say that it's only white women and they're all Gen Z white women, and they're
Yeah.
all racist, which is
Yeah.
not true because you don't have to be racist to be a Karen. You can just be a dumb bitch, and that's all you need
Or
to be
just
for a Karen.
entitled, I
Right.
guess, what you think that
You
you're
just need to
entitled.
speak to someone's manager, and that makes you a Karen.
I need to speak to the manager.
And that haircut. God, that haircut. So instead, we decided to do the 25 most evil women in history.
Yes.
Now, this is cool because you're going to deal with a plethora. I love that word, plethora.
Plethora. Say it with me. Plethora.
We're going to deal with a plethora of some evil bitches.
Say it.
Okay? So we're going to start off.
Ooh,
now,
we're going
this
backwards.
is all through history. Okay? So we're going to start off at 25 and we'll go from there. Some of these people are fucking brutal. Brutal. This first lady is like crazy. All right. So the first one is Gertrude Baniszewski, also known as the Torture Mother. Gertrude Baniszewski was an Indiana divorcee who oversaw and facilitated a prolonged torture, mutilation, and eventual murder of a teenage girl, Sylvia Likens. It was later discovered that the death and majority of the torture was actually carried out under Baniszewski's instruction by her teenage children
Oh,
and other kids from the neighborhood.
dude.
When the woman was convicted of first-degree murder in 1965, the case was called the single worst crime perpetuated against an individual in Indiana's history.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask a question.
'Kay.
She's an Indiana divorcee. So did her husband, was he aware that she had somebody that she was mutilating and torturing, and he's like, fuck this shit, I'm out?
I don't
Or
know, Don,
did it
that's
happen
Ms.
after
Baniszewski?
he left and then she just lost her mind?
Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe she was fucking cray cray.
He saw
I
it
gotta
and he's
leave
like,
this bitch.
I am not going to be a part of that. You're fixing to crack.
And I bet she went with the whole, well, good morning, Mrs. Baniszewski. That's Ms. Baniszewski. Which would
Not
make her
anymore.
a Karen instantly.
Total Karen.
Okay.
But
So-
the bad part is that she got the
She taught
kids from the
yeah.
neighborhood, the
She taught kids
teenagers
into torturing people.
and children.
That poor girl.
into I mean, how could you do that? Well, I mean, what would you say? I don't understand. Come in, kids. They're going to play a fun little game.
First of all, was
Pull
she
this
hot?
fingernail off of this lady's
Was
finger.
she hot? Because she could have used her womanly wiles to seduce
I don't know.
with like promises of pleasure.
Her name is Gertrude. I mean, I'm just thinking like
that could
what,
put her out of
okay,
the
you
running
hear-
right there.
Gertrude.
Yeah.
That's why she had to torture somebody because
Right.
she was taking her angst
Yep.
and frustration.
Baniszewski, that's Polish.
Baniszewski. So
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Polish or Czech.
I
I
don't-
don't know.
I don't think she would be hot. In my mind, she is not hot.
That does
So-
not sound like a hot name.
No.
It sounds like a fat lady with a mustache
So Sylvia Likens, was she
that
like
likes
her?
to make pierogies.
Was she like her tutor? How did she get the teenage girl in there? How did she get Sylvia
Maybe
Likens?
she's just a
in there?
girl in a neighborhood
Oh, just a girl.
because it was talking about teenage children and other kids from the neighborhood. So she
Was-
talked them into killing that girl.
into torturing the girl. Yeah.
That's fucked up. Shall we continue?
Yeah. Let's move on. That
This is one of my
let's start
favorites,
off.
number 24. And a lot of people know who this is. Elizabeth Bathory,
Bathory.
otherwise known as Battery. That's how they actually pronounce it in Romania or Hungary. But anyway, everybody knows who Elizabeth Bathory is. Aptly nicknamed the Blood Countess, Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian noblewoman. She was probably the most prolific female serial killer of all time. At the end of the 16th century and beginning of the 17th century, Bathory tortured and killed up to 650 girls and young women at her castle in Kachtis, modern Slovakia. The macabre nickname came from her apparent tendency to bathe in the blood of her victims, as she believed it would help her maintain her youthful-looking skin.
Is this the one that we read before where she hit one of her servants
Yes.
and some blood got on her face,
Yes.
and then when
And
she
the next
wiped it
morning,
off,
she woke up and she thought it was like,
well, the area that was
face
the
cream.
blood was
Right.
under was so smooth, and
right. So
Nice and
that's how she
porcelain.
decided, well, that's got to be it.
so we just gotta bathe in the blood of 650 girls and young women. First of all, y'all think about that.
And she used to
okay,
put out like notices that she needed helpers in her castle, and that's how she lured them there. Wow. So they would be like, oh, she's a noblewoman. She'll pay me well. Oh, she paid well, all right.
650.
Yeah.
650.
Yeah.
That number is just, you can't fathom 650 people.
So the rumor is that she's actually a vampire.
So what'd she do with the bodies?
She buried them.
So where?
Got rid of the remains. I can't remember what they said.
She just have like a hole? She just
she
like
just
threw them in a
dug
well?
a big like 12-foot hole.
Yeah. It was already a
Dropped
well
them in
there. It was like 6 feet wide.
It was probably pretty
so
easy
they
to do
just-
because they didn't have any blood left. She probably just folded them up.
You think she folded them like origami?
Mm-hmm. Just dropped them in there.
Just flew them like
Dude,
a bird.
how fucked up would it be if she made the next girl she was going to kill do the work of getting rid of the bodies and then killed that one?
Oh,
and
that
it
would
was
be
like a
cool. You know what? I bet
vicious
it was.
circle.
It's historical Karen, yeah.
Right? That's Karen if you ever fucking saw one.
Totally. I wonder if she did that.
I don't know. That's
That's
pretty
wicked.
creepy though.
Wicked.
I wonder if she was hot.
She may have been hot because sometimes hotness comes with a little bit of crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So with the
everybody
blood on her
knows
face?
about the hot crazy chart.
What's
I
the
think
hot crazy chart?
Oh my God, you've never heard of the hot crazy chart?
No, that must be a dude
The
thing.
hotter the girl, the crazier she is.
Seriously?
There's a whole YouTube video about it. It's
What?
fucking awesome. And the guy breaks it all down. And my favorite one is when he says, now, if you have a girl that's hot and she's cool, she's a unicorn, which means there's no such thing. What was the other one?
So she's got hidden crazy, and that's even
right.
scarier.
If she's really cool and likes the things that you do and she's cute, it's a dude. It's a great video. You
I
guys
gotta
should
watch
look it
it.
up. It's
YouTube,
called the
okay.
Crazy Hot Chart.
Okay.
It's
Crazy hot chart.
fantastic.
I will. Let me write that down.
It's fabuloso.
I will write that down.
Crazy. I can't believe you never heard of that.
I've
It's
not.
fucking hilarious.
My son
And
brings
then-
me a lot of videos. I'm surprised he hasn't found it. He's probably
Yeah.
already found it and just like.
And the funny thing is the guy looks like
I'm not
it
showing
looks
that to
like
my
he
mom.
works in law enforcement because he's
the
like
dude?
that. He's got that like detective look.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
got the tie and the shirt. And he's got this chart. And he's got a pointer and he's like
Or he's
breaking
just
it
a
all
wannabe.
down. No, I think he actually does. It was like
Okay.
an ongoing joke, but he was a detective. It was fucking hilarious. The thing that's sad is there was some girl on YouTube, lady on YouTube, that tried to do that opposite with guys, and it just wasn't as funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure you can find a crazy hot
Okay.
chart for
I'll
dudes
totally do
too.
that. Yeah, I think that Elizabeth Bathory is.
Oh yeah, she's up there.
she's probably in the hot crazy
Oh,
chart.
yeah. Number 23, Ilse Cook,
The Witch.
known as the
Buchenwald.
Witch of Buchenwald. Ilse Cook is considered one of the worst villains of the Holocaust. A wife of the commandant of the Nazi concentration camp, Buchenwald. Karl Otto Koch. Ilse Cook was a nymphomaniac who tortured prisoners in the concentration camp.
So, do you know what a nymphomaniac is?
Yeah, she likes the dick.
All the time.
time.
Like nymphomaniac means you can't get enough of it, and it's
Right.
like all
She's
the time.
like the Elizabeth Bathory of sex.
Yes, she's 650 like
Mhm.
a month.
Right.
She has to have it
Right.
650 times. Yeah.
She became known for her extremely evil and sadistic behavior. She enjoyed beating the prisoners, forcing them to perform sexual activities, and even skinning those who had distinctive tattoos. She would then use the tattooed skin to cover her books in it.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I think part of Schindler's List was all about Buchenwald. I think the main guy that was the commandant of that camp was Karl Otto Koch, but I'm not 100% sure. on that.
So, oh man, I don't know. That's just a whole house full of crazy.
That was such a terrible fucking time. Such
Dude, when I went to
horrible
Germany-
shit happened.
My father-in-law wanted to go to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
And I'm sensitive, and I said, there's no way in this universe that I would go and feel their pain.
yeah, but
And then another nurse had went to Germany in the ER, and she was telling me that there are rooms that are closed off with glass that are shoes. You could still smell the leather of these people's shoes.
I've seen
that were
pictures. There's hair.
There's room full of shoes.
Yeah.
These people's shoes.
And then there's one that's just all their hair that they cut off.
Can you imagine that? Like
No.
that? I like the
That's coming soon to a
despair.
fucking neighborhood near you around
The
here.
despair that you feel
Oh,
knowing
absolutely.
that and your kids getting
And some of
shipped
those
off.
people didn't even know what was going on at
No.
first. But like They would
like
separate,
a line at Disney World. Oh,
They
what
would
are we
they
standing
would
in a line
separate
for?
the families right in front of each other.
Yep.
And just it was such a horrible fucking time. Now here's something I didn't know because I have some Jewish friends, and apparently you can't get to heaven if you're tattooed as a Jew.
Oh, really?
It's either you can't go to I don't think it's you can't go to heaven, but you can't be buried at a funeral.
Funeral. What's a
A
funeral?
Jewish graveyard, I
Okay.
think, because you're not supposed to have any marks
So
on your
does
body.
that mean that they skin you before you go in the ground?
I don't know. I
Because
have
it's
to
in
ask
your
my friends again.
subcutaneous tissue. It's not gonna. Even
Yeah,
if you take
but
the skin off, you're
you're
gonna see it.
marking the body that God created of you. So it's like kind of like a sin. for
But it's
Jews.
your body.
Any of our Jewish friends, let me know how that is.
Yeah,
'cause
write an email.
I'm
thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com.
That's
Let
right.
us know.
That was nice. That was a
Thanks.
nice.
That's a segue. You like that?
Sweet.
See, I'm on my Monday game.
that.
I've had
I'm
just
glad
a
somebody is
little
because I'm barely
sip of
fucking
coffee.
breathing. All right,
Barely breathing.
Ma Barker. I've heard of this lady. She was crazy. She was awesome. One of the most notorious female criminals in U.S. history. Ma Barker was the leader of the feared Barker gang that consisted of her sons and once the FBI's public enemy number one. Barker orchestrated a bunch of robberies, murders, and kidnappings throughout the American Midwest during the early 1930s. In 1935, she was killed in her hideout in Florida. Hey, look at that.
Florida.
Girl. Florida woman, Florida man. Should
Florida.
have known. In what was the largest shootout in FBI history. Back then, J. Edgar Hoover, FBI's first director, described her as the most vicious, dangerous, and resourceful criminal brain of the last decade.
So I believe that women are very, like, people don't suspect women to do such heinous things. So that gives them the opportunity to.
Right, because they're the fairer gender.
So people think, but
fairer
we
sex.
fucking create
Oh, you guys
people.
are
So we
vindictive
create
fucking bitches.
people. So we have that kind of power, and the
Dude,
paternal instinct of everywhere.
Helen of Troy almost destroyed a whole kingdom. Just because she had
She's
a
probably
hot
on here
ass.
too.
I don't know if she is or not.
So the hot ass on the horse.
Right. And she was like, I like Hector, but I really think that Achilles is really cute. And he's got a really nice body. I think I want to talk to Achilles. And Hector's like, no, that you're my woman, and I feel that you need to be with me. Yeah, but Achilles doesn't always bother me all night. She just like, I want to get sleep, and you want to talk about all this stupid stuff about the kingdom. I think I'm just going to give Achilles a call. That's how I foresee it happen. And then Hector was
I would watch
pissed,
that on YouTube.
right? And
I would
Hector
totally
was
watch-
jealous.
I
and
would
said-
I would know more about history if you were doing it as like Beavis and Butthead or whatever, because I would
Dude.
be laughing and it would just simply easily go into my brain.
Hector
matter.
wrote a note to Achilles that said, "Leave my woman alone. Quit being an asshole. Fuck you." And Achilles was like, "I didn't do shit. The fuck is this guy? I'm gonna go kick that guy's ass." And that's how the war happened.
She liked him and he
She
didn't do
liked him.
anything.
Right.
So he's like, "Look, I didn't even do it. I
Right.
didn't even get a piece of ass.
Right.
Why you accusing me for it? So I'm gonna have to beat you up."
Right, because Hector's like, "Man, you're killing my boner," and all she talks about is you, and I don't appreciate it, dude, because she's got a sweet ass, and I can't touch that ass.
Can't touch this.
I'm just saying, that's how it happens.
Can't
All
touch
right, number 21, Myra
Okay.
Hindley. Once branded the most hated woman in Britain, Myra Hindley and her twisted boyfriend Ian Brady shocked the world with terrifying crimes in the 1960s. In the case known as the Moores murders, the couple raped, tortured, and killed 5 children aged between 10 and 17 in and around Manchester, England. Hindley was sentenced to 2 concurrent life sentences. She died in jail in November 2002, age 60, after suffering respiratory failure following a heart attack.
Dude.
People like that shouldn't even get life in prison.
No.
They should just be fucking destroyed.
You should just be, they should burn these people at the stake,
These-
not
These
witches
people
that are
don't
trying
need
to
to be
do good
burned at
and
the stake.
help people.
They
with
need to
herbs.
be impaled through their butthole,
Oh, like that egg thing you were talking about?
like Vlad the Impaler.
Vlad the or what was the other one that was?
Oh, the
She's-
Easter egg?
No, you said that she.
Oh, the
put
pear.
The pear. You put the pear in the
Yeah.
rectum and you just keep
Yes. And just
opening
keep
it,
twisting that motherfucker.
and it opens the.
Yeah. fucking people that
I mean, they might like it.
I can't stand people that mess with kids.
I know, that's not-
probably the worst thing in the world to me.
No.
I mean, I don't condone rape or torture anyway, or murder, but kids, no, you don't fuck with kids,
no,
man.
they're not.
Ever.
They don't know. No,
Ever.
don't do it.
All right, Griselda Blanco. Oh yeah, I remember this one.
the Black
Nicknamed
Widow.
La Madrina, or the Black Widow. Griselda Blanco was one of the most ruthless and feared drug queenpins of all times.
I like that.
Born in 1943, this notorious Colombian criminal was one of the key figures in the infamous Medellin cartel and has even been credited with being a mentor to one of the most famous drug lords, Pablo Escobar, who eventually became her enemy. It has been estimated that Blanco was responsible for up to 200 murders while transporting cocaine from Colombia to the U.S.
Well, yeah, anybody that stands in your way, that's,
Oh, yeah.
you just
She started
run
off
them
in,
over.
Yeah, a lot of those murders happened in Florida. Because, of course, Florida.
Because it's Florida.
And then I believe she ended up moving, and she got fucking murdered.
So it was like it was Miami?
Miami, yeah.
She was in Miami? Okay.
I think she moved to California, if I remember correctly, because she went to jail. She got out. She was still trying to run shit. But she pissed somebody off back in Colombia.
Yeah.
She went back to Colombia. That's what it was. She went back to Colombia. They fucking killed her down there. Like, she walked out her fucking front door and she was done.
Well, I mean, that's what happens. That's if you screw with any of the drug lords.
It's another PSA. Don't do drugs.
Drugs are bad, okay. Drugs are bad, okay.
All right, another one of my favorite historical bitches, Mary Tudor. The only child of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, who was King Henry VIII's first wife, to survive into adulthood. Mary Tudor was the very first Queen of England, reigning from 1553 until her death in 1558. She only lived for 5 years.
Dude.
Or no, she only reigned for 5 years.
Reigned.
However, she's remembered as one of the most bloodthirsty, tyrannical, and evil women in English history. Known as Bloody Mary, she is best known for her brutal religious persecutions of Protestants and the executions of over 300 subjects. Ooh. She also had her first cousin, Lady Jane Grey, that's a famous name, who also wanted to claim the throne, beheaded.
Oh, she had her... Off with her head!
That's right. She didn't want no
Off with her head!
I believe that's where Alice in Wonderland got the Queen
I was going to say, I could just see her.
I believe that's what it was.
Bloody Mary.
But, yeah, just don't say her name 5 times in a mirror or she'll show up and cut your head off.
Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
I thought it was 3 times.
Bloody
Mary. I thought it was 3 times.
It might
I think
be
it's
3
times. Don't say Bloody Mary 3 times in the mirror.
Yeah, because she'll
come
come and fuck your ass
see her
up.
Face in the mirror.
So I believe that
be behind you because you see her in the mirror.
Yeah, she's brutal. She wanted to take fucking Britain and Ireland back to being Catholic. So she was hardcore, man.
Wow.
Dagmar Overby. Dagmar Overby was a Danish serial killer who murdered up to 25 children, including one of her own.
What?
During a 7-year period from 1913 to 1920, Overby was working as a professional child caretaker, caring for babies born outside of marriage. Out of the babies she killed, some were strangled, some drowned, and the rest burned to death in her masonry heater.
Oh.
In March 1921, Overby was sentenced to death in one of the most watched murder trials in Danish history. Wow. The sentence was later commuted to life in jail. Overby died in prison in 1929 at age 42.
42.
See, this is why I am totally for the death penalty. Because of fucking scum like that.
Yeah, but like we've read that if you have the death penalty, you live longer. You die of cancer before you get,
Yeah, because you just keep appealing.
Or they just don't do it.
Yeah. Well, it's because
they used to be. If you were sentenced to hang, you walked out from your sentencing to the gallows and you were hanged. But it would save us so much money, though.
But then lawyers got involved. Just keep appealing. You can stay alive the rest of your life. Oh, fuck you,
Until you die of pancreatic
when
cancer.
you kill children, you get no appeal.
Dude.
No appeal.
So
if
that's
you
the
are
thing.
if you are undoubtedly proven guilty, you get no appeal. You're done.
No. So you voluntarily handed over your kid to this lady to watch your kid. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry your baby drowned. Oh, I'm sorry your baby fell into the fire."
Wouldn't you think, okay, so she killed 25 children. Wouldn't you think the first 1 or 2, it seemed kind of weird that it's always this lady that their baby dies.
Just bad luck.
That you would just be like starting to tell other people don't go to that lady.
Don't do that.
Because your baby dies.
She has like 0 stars on Yelp.
Right.
Yeah.
They should have had Yelp back in 1913. Dude. So she did that for 7 years. She killed 25 children. So what did she do? Like kill one and then wait a couple of years and kill another one?
No, because it was 7 years.
Maybe 2 or 3 a week.
It'd have to be 3 a year or something.
Wow.
Right?
4 a year.
Dude, I don't. So
she'd kill.
Very well.
Yeah. So she would kill.
I'm a science head.
She has a quota apparently. 4 babies a year.
4 a year. What is she like offering them up to
for the
something?
next 7 years? Maybe.
Does she have an altar down?
Maybe she's a cultist, and then that was her fucking sacrifice.
Maybe she drains their blood, so you have a couple liters. Maybe the couple liters only last like 3 months, so she can drink the blood of 3 liters.
Maybe she's the one that came up with that adrenochrome shit.
Ooh.
You've heard of that stuff, right? She was an
innovator. No.
Okay, so all these movie stars, the reason why they're like pedophiles and shit is because they like the adrenochrome in the babies. South Park did an episode of that. Remember when Tom Cruise was sucking the baby's fucking blood out? They had it all.
No, it's okay.
Adrenochrome is supposedly like the this is all conspiracy theory stuff, but it like keeps you young forever. Like, you ever notice some movie stars look young still?
Yeah,
and then you see some pictures where they look fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, my logical brain is they got really good makeup artists, but some people who are like to bite into the conspiracies say it's adrenochrome, and that's why children are disappearing and stuff because they're torturing the children. So that's the rich stuff. So they're making this cream. The whole concept is the more adrenaline you pump into a child before you kill them, the more powerful it is.
Okay, well, that makes sense. When you eat deer meat and you've made them run and you didn't get them clean, it wasn't a clean shot.
Right.
You can taste it in the meat. You can taste the fear, basically, because it is adrenaline. I'm serious.
You're creeping me out.
That's why they want you need to have a clean shot.
People, you don't see the look that Dawn just gave me when she said, when you shoot a deer and it runs away.
He thinks I steal souls. That's why my hands and feet are cold.
Well,
plus, I'm a redhead.
She's a redhead. That's what they do. They thirst for souls. Okay. Christiana Edmonds. I like her nickname.
Ooh,
known as the Chocolate Cream Killer.
I'd like to kill a chocolate cream donut. I've been talking about that since this morning.
That shit was funny.
If somebody comes in with donuts, I'm totally going to masticate the whole box of donuts.
That was awesome.
In deglution.
I'm going to kill that motherfucker. Known as the Chocolate Cream Killer, Christiana Edmonds was an English killer and mentally ill woman with a very weird hobby. She would buy chocolates from a shop, poison them with strychnine, and then return them to the shop.
No way.
Other people would buy them and become ill. In 1871, a 4-year-old boy died from eating one of the chocolates she had poisoned. Edmund was sentenced to death, but the sentence was later reduced to life imprisonment due to her mental state.
Okay, if you're returning chocolate, I'm not putting them back on the store. So that was on the chocolate shop. They could have nipped that shit in the bud and been like, look, she just returned this.
But it was the 1870s, so I'm thinking maybe they didn't realize.
Okay, you're not that hard up for money to use the same fucking chocolate.
But maybe they didn't have the same return policy as we have now, because she was like a trailblazer in why we have return policies, why you just can't return fucking food back to the owner or the shop.
Yeah.
Like, because you get people that lick it.
Right.
Like those fucking morons you see on YouTube that open up the ice cream in the store and lick the top of it.
Yeah, that's the ones that got charged. It's a federal charge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they need to get choked out.
My ex-husband would fucking, if our VCR went out, and I'm like, I'm not a party to this. If our VCR went out, he'd go to Walmart, buy a new one, put the old one in the fucking new box, and return it to fucking Walmart. I'm like, don't do it. That's wrong. That's bad. You're going to have bad karma. I'm not a party to that.
Nope. But,
so that's the same shit, returning your fucking chocolates after you poisoned them. Throw them away.
Yeah, don't fuck with food, man. Don't fuck with it. But you remember in the 80s, we used to have those people that like were getting sick or dying from aspirin and stuff because people were opening up the aspirin and putting shit in it.
Putting the needle, they were popping it because the seal wasn't broken.
Right. So now that's why we have like baby-proof fucking lids and shit. And they're all sealed. Well, that's what they say if the seal's broken. Because back in the day, before this, there was no seal. Maybe that's why they started the seal. That's why they started sealing it. Because people would just open it up, put something in there and close it back up.
And you wouldn't know which
And
one
if
was.
you got like fucking diarrheas and you got your some Imodium and you're taking Imodium, next thing you know you're like fucking shitting blood like a sieve and you're dying because
like that guy this weekend.
oh, let's
That
not
was
go
a
there.
massacre.
Let's not go
That's
there.
the smell. Okay, let's go.
Ranavalona won.
Ranavalona.
Ranavalona
I like
the
to say that.
first.
That's fun to say. Ranavalona.
Known as the Mad Monarch of Madagascar.
Madagascar. Say that fast 3 times. Mad
Ranavalona
Madagascar.
the
Mad
first is
Madagascar.
considered one of the coolest female political leaders in history. Ranavalona the first ruled the African island of Madagascar for 33 years that were filled with nothing but terror, fear, and violence. Thousands of her people died due to the extremely brutal discipline she introduced. It was the Christian minority who suffered the most under Ranavalona's regime as they faced imprisonment, torture, and execution.
Ooh.
That's crazy.
What was her? I wonder what they did. It doesn't specify.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't something nice.
So if
I'm sure it wasn't
she
like-
ruled with terror, fear, and violence, that means they didn't have to do anything. She just
No,
was.
she probably does like what all these other fuck sticks out there in that region do to Christians. Now, I'm not a Christian, but I don't believe that you should persecute anyone religiously.
No way.
I mean, but these people hate Christians so much in that region because there's a lot of Muslim religion in that area.
Right.
Madagascar's pretty close to like Yemen and Oman
Okay.
and places like that. So it's on the eastern side of southern Africa.
Okay.
And if you look on a map, I'm really good with geography.
I know.
If you look on a map, right up by where the United Arab Emirates is, there's Oman, there's Saudi Arabia, there's Yemen, all those areas, and that's all heavily Muslim populated.
It's probably because
So-
you have a pornographic memory.
Photographic
memory.
I have a pornographic memory.
Photographic memory.
I have both.
Pornographic memory.
But yeah, so it leads me to believe she was probably a Muslim, and basically,
So she just didn't like Christians, and then she just
Right.
because they were that.
because that in the world, that is where the most persecutions of Christians is in the Middle Eastern regions
Okay.
and in the African regions, because even there's a lot of African Muslims too that are just wiping out fucking people left and right over there in these little countries. It's sad.
Man.
Um,
You should be able to practice your religion. Freely.
right. You should be able to practice whatever it is.
Yep. Anything.
As long as you're not hurting people, who gives a fuck what you practice? You could fucking worship poodles, and it doesn't matter to me. Just leave people alone.
And it harm none.
fuckers.
So mote it be.
Leave Britney Spears alone!
Leave Brittany. Wear the yellow.
Irma Greasy, nicknamed the Hyena of Auschwitz, another fucking
Ew.
high-class whore. Irma Greasy was one of the most notorious and brutal of the female Nazi war criminals. She was also one of only a few women concentration camp workers who was hanged for war crimes by the
Ooh.
Allies. Beautiful. In 1943,
Nice.
Greasy
Karma.
was in control of around 30,000 women prisoners, many of whom she tortured both physically and emotionally. She wore heavy boots, carried a whip and a gun, and
Okay,
enjoyed
that
shooting
sounds hot.
prisoners in cold blood. That sounds hot.
No, not that part.
Survivors reported that she seemed to derive great sexual pleasure from these acts of sadism.
So did she stomp them?
Yeah, she probably did. Irma. Dude, it just amazes me the depravity that people have gone through and had to deal
Yeah, the ones
with
that did,
these
the ones that made it
fucksticks.
out were like we are descendants of
Yeah.
those people that had to go through all that shit.
I do have to give props to the person who wrote this, though, because they used the proper terminology when they talk about hanging someone.
Hanged.
She said hanged and not hung.
She
You know-
hanged.
Do you know the difference? Inanimate objects
I was
are
going to
hung.
go triple X rated, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Inanimate objects are hung. People are hanged. People get that wrong all the time.
So-
he didn't hung himself. He hanged himself.
But you say a man
I'm
is
teaching
well
grammar on
hung.
this show too, people.
But if a man is well hung, then that's an inanimate object. That's not an inanimate object. It
He's
totally
well
moves.
hanged.
He's well hanged. That doesn't even sound right.
It doesn't sound right, but for some
He's
reason
hung.
it got all changed.
So
But
it has nothing to do.
right.
If you're talking about a penis,
if you're hanging
it doesn't
no,
follow
'cause-
that
right.
direction.
No, it's basically if a human being is hanged, then they're hanged.
But if they're hanged, then you can see
Right.
they're hung.
Like during the old days when they used to give out sentences, they would
I didn't know
say,
that.
you will be hanged from the tree until dead. Hanged.
Okay.
So now people, you just learned some grammar today. You're welcome. All right, Amelia Dyer. Born in 1837 in Bristol, UK, Amelia Dyer is one of the most prolific serial killers in history. During 30 years in Victorian Britain, Dyer killed about 300, some sources say even over 400, infants that she was supposed to take care of. During that time, Britain was struggling with a pandemic problem of infanticide. Gee, wonder why.
Oh, yeah. She was a
Bodies of
contributor
dead
to
babies
that.
scattered on British streets were too common to be considered newsworthy.
What?
Which is one of the reasons why Dyer was able to do her gruesome work for so long. She was arrested in 1869
See?
and hung. See, that guy's wrong. Hung 2 months later. Hanged, you moron. I just went over this. Do I need to write this man a letter?
He's from the UK. Independent.co.uk.
Let me ask this. How do you
Who
have
are
a
the-
pandemic problem of infants dying? That it's so common that the
You just-
news goes, it's just another dead baby
we're
in the
not
street.
talking about that anymore.
What the fuck?
I mean, it was obviously not Fox News.
Here's the thing, dude. If people think that life is hard now,
Dude,
okay,
no.
go back to 1837.
You don't have dead babies in the street.
Okay.
400.
You go to San Francisco and you might risk walking into a syringe needle or poop.
Oh, yeah.
You're not accidentally walking on a dead baby body.
No, when that was in Amsterdam, there was shit on like doorways and
Yeah.
stuff. Like
So
homeless just shit on your doorway.
fucking count your blessings, bitches.
It doesn't smell like urine.
Doesn't smell like a fucking toilet in major cities.
So we went on the ghost tour downtown Charleston.
Yeah. Did it smell like a toilet?
It did. It smelled like horse shit. Like
Well, that's 'cause there's a lot of horses
I
down
know, but it's sad that Charleston smells like horse shit.
I mean, every time I see horses now, though, like, you see lots of bags on their buttholes. How come they're not doing that anymore?
I mean, they may. It just still smells. You're still
Yeah.
gonna have a odoriferous.
Can you imagine what it smelled like before there was roads?
No, or before
Like,
there
or
were
before there was concrete,
bags.
asphalt, and ass bags?
to hold the poop that they're
We
walking.
should look that up. We should see when the ass bag was invented
When I'm writing that down.
for
When
horses.
was ass bag
I'd be
invented?
curious to find out. If anybody knows, Katie probably knows. Katie knows
Katie.
everything.
Deadtime Radio at gmail.com. When was the ass bag for the horse invented?
I'll get an email tomorrow. She'll be like, well, by the way,
By the
in
way,
1822. All right.
I would say more 2000s because
Right.
I don't think
No, it was
it
around
had
when
to
I
be
was a kid.
recent.
No, it was around when I was a kid.
that's recent, dude. Compared to 1822, that's recent.
Well, it
When
wasn't
you were a kid, it's
2000s.
recent. Are you like 200 years old?
No, but it was around in the 1980s.
That's still recent.
Okay, but you just said the 2000s.
That's what I'm saying.
You said it had to be invented in the 2000s. No, it was
Like
around...
the shit bags.
Yeah.
The bags to hold the poop.
Yeah, it was way before the 2000s because that was around when I was just a wee babe in the 70s
So more
and
than
80s.
20 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. I would
Okay.
say it's probably way before the 50
No,
years
dude. When
ago.
I came here when I was little, the horses would shit like on the road.
Yeah.
So,
That doesn't mean it wasn't invented yet, though.
oh, that's true.
It may
I'm just
mean
saying
that-
from my purview and my perspective
right.
of
But it may
the
mean that they
horses
were just like, well, do I really want to pay for
because
a
they
poopy
had
bag?
a person to walk behind the horse.
Right.
So it's cheaper to
And then the shit
make the
bag
bag.
came around
Yeah.
and
so
took that man's
took
job.
the man's job.
Took her job.
There was a guy that walked behind. See, even at Busch Gardens, there's people that walk behind the Clydesdales because they don't put bags on Clydesdales.
Dude, Clydesdale's poop.
Those are like human size. That's like the size of Smeagol.
Did
those
you
are
ever hear the
Smeagol-sized
story
poop.
about a zookeeper that like was killed by
Shit.
elephant poop?
Why was it? It
He was
just
like-
knocked him out, or
I guess the elephant was constipated and he was trying to clean the
oh
elephant
no!
and he got behind it and
Bowling ball
it
hit
let
him in the
loose
face.
and fucking buried him in the poop
Oh no!
and he suffocated. That's a shitty way
That's
to die.
a shitty way to die. We need to do that one. We write that down. Okay, that's our
Oh.
next show. Shitty ways to die.
Shitty ways to die. One of them would be to be buried in
Covered
shit.
in elephant shit.
Yes, that would suck.
No, you wouldn't suck. You would
No,
suck
he,
a cake.
He probably died because he was trying to hold his breath, so he didn't get any of it in him.
Well, he probably got it on his hand
Like
and just
inhale.
Oh, maybe he did inhale it,
Maybe he aspirated
like meconium when
on
you're a
elephant
baby
poop. Yeah,
and you can't get it out of your lung.
right. Aspirated poop. Ugh.
Is that Asperger's?
Asperger's. I have Asperger's syndrome.
I got I don't know. I got nothing.
Asperger's. Belle Gunness, also known as the Black Widow.
We already have a
Belle
Black
Gunness
Widow.
was one of America's most degenerate and productive female serial killers. She was 6 feet tall
Woo!
and over 200
200
pounds.
pounds.
That's a big bitch.
She
was a very hefty and strong woman of Norwegian descent.
nice.
It is believed that she killed both her husbands and all of her children at different times. But it is certain that she also murdered most of her suitors, boyfriends, and her 2 daughters, Myrtle and Lucy. The total number of Gunness's victims is estimated between 25 and 40.
Wow. So he just
Holy
pissed her off,
moly.
and she just, watch out! She throat punched him, and he died.
That Viking blood probably enraged her.
Yeah. Yep.
By the power of Thor, I shall smite thee. And she just crushed them. I mean,
Raw.
fucking 6 feet, 200. That
She
reminds
just hit
me.
you on the top of the
That
head.
reminds me of that chick in the Deuce Bigelow, American Gigolo.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah.
he's walking down the
Yes.
street with her?
Yeah.
That's probably how big she was.
I was thinking about Princess Bride when Andre the Giant hits the guy on the
Yeah,
top
yeah.
of the head, and he just, I think
yeah.
I hit him too hard.
Yeah.
Maybe she did that.
Clara,
She Andre Gianted her husband.
Yeah. Clara Mararova, a member of a sinister religious cult. Clara Mararova is a notorious Czech criminal known for torturing her 2 sons. With other members of the sadistic group, she even forced one of her sons to eat his own flesh. What?
How do you do that?
The
Just
2
fried it like
boys-
chicharron. It's just chicharrones.
Yeah.
It's just chicharrones.
The 2 boys, aged 8 and 10, were brutally tortured and sexually abused for almost 1 year in 2007. This is recent.
Oh,
The
dude.
terrifying case of child abuse was accidentally discovered when a TV baby monitor installed in a neighboring apartment picked up the signal from Mararova's monitor, showing one of the victims beaten naked and chained in a cellar.
That was an awesome thing that happened then.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
meant to happen.
it could have been forever and ever. Okay, first of all,
How do you teach somebody to eat
how do
their own
you
flesh?
take their flesh off?
Oh, that's easy. You just use a knife.
No, I'm saying with them still being alive, not bleeding to death. Did she have like
Use
a
a knife.
cauterizing gun or?
You don't have to. I mean, you can still. How many times do you cut yourself in a day? And you bleed, and then
I
it
don't
just
cut myself
stops?
any times in a day.
You don't cut yourself on paper cuts or anything like that?
Well, yeah,
accidentally?
but not every day.
Do you bleed to death when you do it?
Well, I'm a redhead, so yes, my blood is thinner.
You
I
ever get
usually
a
bleed
chunk?
to death.
You ever get a chunk when you were a kid taken out?
I'm a bleeder,
Because you
dude.
just
Like
fuck around everywhere.
yeah,
You know,
I
like
would.
doing kid stuff.
No, I didn't do that stuff.
Just running around being a kid.
Not that I recall. I was in the room reading books.
Fucking nerd. Such a fucking nerd.
I was. It was safe. It was for
I
safety.
didn't do child things. I was
for
reading
safety.
I was reading dissertations on
Okay, so I got so excited when I thought my dad was buying the whole entire series of encyclopedias because I was a Y kid, so I was like, I'm gonna have the answers to everything. We never got them, so I don't have the
Dawn
answers.
is my friend. She has the
Because
greatest
I'm honest,
stories.
or because I'm just
You
a
just have
nerd.
great stories, and you're such a nerd. That's why we get along
Man,
so well.
I have to keep my card current.
Hey, I'm a nerd too,
Hey, man.
but I still went out and did kid things.
I think I may have climbed a tree and I got a scratch in there.
And that was it. That was it.
No, look at my leg. Look at what
I know,
Mara did.
fuck.
This is what my body looks like
My
when.
little baby Mara
She-
fucking
she-
gouged her today.
Look, it's gonna be like that for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it looks like she got in a fight with a panther.
It does. I got 3 lines, and it's purpley, red,
in her
angry.
fucking translucent legs.
Hey, man. Katie knows we are
Translucency.
translucent. You can see our veins. It's very easy to start an IV on us.
She puts socks on, and you don't know where the sock ends and the leg starts.
Yeah, you were making fun of my referee socks this week.
My legs are like that too, though.
Must my whistle.
I have translucent legs.
Do you?
'Cause
See,
I don't
you're
like the
making fun of
sun.
me.
I am making fun of you.
I
don't
love
like
the sun.
I don't. I think it's an
But
evil
I become
orb.
one big freckle. I was in the sun this week, and it's just I'm like freckles everywhere.
One of
Hopefully
these days, I'm going to make
tomorrow.
her wear Pippi Longstocking hair at work.
I can totally
With
do
her
that.
freckly ass freckles.
Do you want me to put the hanger in it too,
Yeah.
where it like you can bend it?
Yeah. That would
I
be
can do
awesome.
that. What you gonna give me?
I don't know. Maybe I'll buy you a
Just
box
some
of
donuts?
Carla.
I'll do it next week.
Oh my God.
No, my hair's not long enough yet. We'll have to wait like a couple more months.
Carla Homolka One of the worst female serial killers in Canadian history. I didn't even know Canada had serial killers. Like,
Oh, they're so nice.
Are they like, hey, I'm gonna kill you, eh? Do you mind
lay
if
down, eh?
can we have some dinner first, eh? Like, do you got any Labatt's, eh? I like to kill while like drinking a little buzz, eh? You got any back bacon? Carla Mocha and her husband Paul Bernardo kidnapped, raped, and killed at least 3 girls in the early 1990s. Their first victim was Carla's youngest sister, 15-year-old Tammy Homolka. Carla was offered a plea deal for testifying against her now ex-husband, and as such was released from prison in 2005. She changed her name to Leanne Bordelais and lives in Guadalupe Island in the Caribbean with her new husband and 3 children.
Oh, dude.
What a cunt.
Wow.
How do you fucking give up your youngest sister? Fucking people suck, dude. Wow. Humanity sucks. Maybe
your sister was the devil. What's the
devil,
Bobby?
Was her sister named Bobby Boucher?
Bobby Boucher.
Tammy Homolka.
Maybe that's her
Canadian
husband.
For Boucher.
Boucher. Bobby Boucher.
Maria Moreno Carrion. She's got to be like Mexican. Yeah, she is. One of the most brutal female drug dealers.
Yep.
Mireya Moreno Carrion was one of the first females to make a name for herself in the feared Mexican Los Zetas drug cartel. They're nasty, nasty people.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. She was responsible for all of the drug trafficking hot spots in Monterrey, Mexico. She actually began as a police officer before joining up with the drug lords and eventually became a boss of Los Zetas. She was arrested by authorities 1 year later while driving a stolen vehicle that held tons of drugs.
Tons. Man, you imagine how heavy that vehicle was if it was tons?
Yeah. Those guys used to be former Special Forces military army, and they ended up becoming drug czars.
Oh.
And
you teach them how to do that.
They would do stuff like cut people up with chainsaws and videotape it.
While they were alive?
Yeah. And videotape it. And then they would stuff them in a barrel for people to see.
But if they're in a barrel, you can't see them.
No, they would leave the lid off.
Oh,
so
dude.
People would go by the barrel and see like bodies and shit. These guys would go and do like special forces stuff if you're against the Los Zetas, like if you're a rival drug cartel.
No, we're not. We love you, Los Zetas. You make amazing tamales.
They would do like nighttime special forces raids into their houses and fucking wipe out the whole family. Not just that person, the whole fucking family.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And we've taught them how to do that.
No, I think they taught
the
themselves.
Special Forces. I'm saying when you are in Special Forces, there's things that they know that we don't, as lay people, know.
Yeah, so, pretty crazy.
Terrifying.
Tilly Klimek. Tilly Klimek was a Polish-born American serial killer active in Chicago in the first half of the 20th century. Klimek claimed she was psychic. She allegedly believed she had precognitive dreams accurately predicting the dates of death of her victims. Well, if that's easy to do.
She killed them. Then,
Between 1912 and 1923, Klimek poisoned at least 20 people with arsenic. Some of the victims recovered and survived, but most of them, including all 4 of her husbands, died.
Okay, after the first one and the second one,
yeah,
when you start to be suspicious.
In 1923, she was sentenced to life in prison, where she died in 1936 at the age of 60. Yeah, I believe that.
No red flags.
Right.
Like, how did you lose your husband?
Back in those days, they didn't have TV, so they didn't have like 24-hour news channels. You know what I mean? So that stuff probably didn't get out very easily, especially if it was like if she was reclusive and stuff. I mean, look at H.H. Holmes. He had quite a few until he actually had one person that survived.
Right.
That fucking ratted him out.
Right.
So. I shouldn't even use the word ratted on that. I mean, fucking, that guy was brutal.
1912, 1923. But, man.
That's crazy,
arsenic is a horrible way to die.
Yeah, you get wicked sick from that stuff.
Puking blood and pooping blood, and then,
Because, like, when you buy a house in Maine, they look at all the wood. Because they use arsenic in the wood to keep it from rotting up there. So you have to be careful if you have arsenic-laced wood. You have to wear gloves when you're like creating. Say, for instance, you want to make a new deck in your backyard. You got to wear gloves because if it's got arsenic in it, it could kill you.
So what about your dog? You know how dogs chew on the wood and they die.
It can make your dog sick.
Dude.
They don't. I don't think they use it anymore. I think they do other stuff, but yeah, the treated wood. That's what they used to treat it with.
So if you buy an old house,
right, and that's why they do it. They inspect
Like
all the
our
wood and stuff like that.
asbestos.
Right.
Okay.
Pretty crazy, huh?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Charlene Gallego. Together with her husband and partner in crime, Gerald Gallego, Charlene Gallego raped, tortured, and killed a total of 10 victims in and around Nevada and Northern California between 1978 and 1980.
Dude.
All but one of those who fell prey to the sadistic couple were teenage girls or young women. Charlene Gallego served 16 years and released early in exchange for testimony against her husband. Gerald Gallego was sentenced to death by gas chamber, but he died of cancer in a prison medical center while awaiting the execution.
Told you.
See, you know what's
You
funny
can
though?
rot and then get cancer while you're
But
waiting.
that's karma.
That is karma.
Because look at somebody like fucking Charlie Manson.
Right, but I'm saying, how do you know that he was the mastermind? How do you know that she wasn't?
Oh, I'm sure she probably was.
And then so she gave him up,
But
and he had to die in the
there's
gas
no
chamber.
honor among
She's still
thieves.
walking around.
Right, there's no honor
That's
among
78
thieves.
and 80.
They probably
so-
told her, we'll give you a plea deal. And if you testify against your husband, your sentence will get reduced. And
What if she's one of the nurses on the floors?
Well, they have a lot of those.
I'm serious.
Stories.
Just change your name.
Yeah. They have a lot of those stories where nurses are killing people.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And then you could legally do it. That's the way you would do it.
Yep.
That or become a surgeon,
Yeah.
because you have like a certain
There's
percentage of
Plenty.
people can die under your name.
Plenty of stories of that kind of stuff. Catherine de' Medici, one of the most powerful but also ruthless and violent female rulers of medieval Europe. Catherine de' Medici was an Italian noblewoman and the Queen of France from 1547 until 1559. Also known as the Black Widow, again. the
Three Black Widows.
Catherine de' Medici is often regarded as the mastermind behind the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre,
See how they kill.
an organized violent Catholic mob directed against the Huguenots, French Calvinist Protestants, in August of 1572. It's estimated that up to 30,000 Huguenots lost their lives in this bloody massacre.
30,000. Wow.
Do you know where the Protestants came from?
Protestantia.
No. That's not the country next to Bolivia.
You know where
by the way,
ninjas
either.
come from?
Protestants came from Henry VIII.
I don't know what that means. He birthed them all?
Yes, because I think I told you this before.
Like one
Henry
at a time?
VIII wanted to get a divorce. The Catholic Church said, no, you can't get a divorce. He said, fuck you, I want a divorce. I'm the King of England. And the Pope said, no, fuck you, I'm the Pope. And I said, you can't get a fucking divorce. So the King of England said, fuck that, I'm going to get a divorce anyway. So he created a whole new religion.
Wow. That's a Protestant?
The Protestants. And he created a whole Reformation throughout
So is that
England.
because the word protest is in the...
Yes, the Protestant
Protest-
Reformation came from that.
Protestants.
Yes.
So I'm going to
So he
create a
figured-
religion to protest Catholicism.
Right. So the only way that I can get a divorce is to create a new religion. Bingo, here we are, we're Protestants now. And because I'm King of England, you will fucking become a Protestant, or you'll end up in, like, the Tower of London or under a gutter somewhere. And that's where Protestants came from.
Dude,
Yep. Old Henry.
you
Old
didn't
Hank.
answer my question.
What?
You know where ninjas come from?
Uranus?
Ninja.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That was the lamest joke I've ever heard in my life.
You're welcome.
Delphine Lalaurie, commonly known as Madame Blanc. Delphine Lalaurie was once a wealthy socialite known throughout New Orleans. She was later discovered to be an evil serial killer who tortured and murdered her black slaves. Her gruesome hobby was discovered accidentally when rescuers responded to a fire at her mansion. They found bound slaves in her attic who showed evidence of cruel, violent treatment over a long period.
Oh.
Lallaurie's house was then sacked by an outraged mob of New Orleans citizens. However, the murderess managed to escape to France.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that was karma.
Yeah.
She knocked a candle over, or one of her slaves knocked a candle over
Right.
and said, look, we're going to burn because I'm not doing this anymore.
Daria Saltykova, a notorious Russian female serial killer and noblewoman of the 18th century. Daria Saltykova is known for torturing and murdering up to 140 of her serfs. Because of her noble origin, unusual brutality, and sadistic lust for blood, Daria Saltykova is often compared to the Hungarian blood countess Elizabeth Bathory, who committed similar crimes.
Man, she's another bleeder.
You wonder why people fucking revolt against the nobles back in those days. Because they were just treated like shit.
Yeah. They took all your money, and then they didn't feed you, and there's no housing, there was no
Drank
nothing.
your blood, cut you up.
Yep.
Nobody gave a fuck because you're just smelling like poo.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's the smell drove them to being sadistic.
Leonardo Cianciulli. Between 1939 and 1940, Italian female serial killer Leonardo Cianciulli murdered 3 women, all middle-aged neighbors, and made tea cakes and soap out of their remains. What?
Whoa, that's awesome. Okay, if I become a serial killer, that's what I'm doing. I'm making tea cakes and soap out of their fat.
This terrifying act earned her the nickname of the soap maker
maker.
of Correggio.
If you're going to do it right, man. You're going to go out.
Cianciulli was an extremely superstitious woman, and she allegedly committed the grisly crimes to break a family curse that was inflicted on her by her parents for marrying a man they did not like. Holy
Dude,
fuck,
she's
that's
already
amazing.
crazy. It's crazy.
Juana Barraza. Born in 1957 to an alcoholic mother, Juana Barraza is a former Mexican professional wrestler and one of the most prolific serial killers in Mexican history. Between 1998 and 2006, Barraza, a remarkably hefty and muscular woman, killed between 42 and 48 elderly women. This earned her the nickname the Old Lady Killer. It was long thought that the killer was a male, and it wasn't until January 2006 when Barraza was arrested, fleeing from the home of her latest victim. She was found guilty on 16 charges of murder and sentenced to 759 years in prison.
Wow. 759 years in prison. That's crazy. Oh, we know Eileen Wuornos.
We're running out of time, so I'm reading these two really fast.
Yeah.
Eileen Wuornos was one of the most infamous American female serial killers. Sexually abused and thrown out of her home as a teen, she made a living as a sex worker on, where? Florida's highways, where she, in November 1989, killed her first victim, a man who had picked her up. Wasn't that movie with Charlize about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlize Theron was Eileen Wuornos. She shaved her eyebrows and gained like 30 pounds. She was
yet
amazing.
She was still fucking hot.
She was amazing.
Wuornos went on to kill at least 5 other men before she was eventually caught, convicted, and placed on death row. Though her sanity was questioned, Wuornos was executed by lethal injection in 2002.
Last one. Number one.
Miyuki Ishikawa was a Japanese midwife and probably the most prolific serial killer in Japanese history. With the aid of several accomplices, including her husband, Ishikawa killed between 85 and 169 babies, mostly through neglect in the 1940s. During the trial, Ishikawa argued that it was the parents who were responsible for their deaths, as they had deserted the children. Surprisingly, her defense was partly successful, as she was only sentenced to 8 years of prison for her crimes. She even managed to half the sentence through an appeal. Now,
so she watches the kids and then they die because she doesn't take care of them.
Thing, though,
that's not her. The parents' thing.
1940s, that was World War II Japan. So maybe her parents did desert the children because they were fucking killed.
Yeah, they were dead.
Oh man.
Wow.
That was awesome, though.
Oh, wow.
25 of the evilest bitches in history.
That was totally on point.
Well, that's the end of our show, people. We love you.
Thank you. Love you.
We want you to send us emails, send us comments, send us stories, send us all that cool shit at thedeadtimeradio@gmail.com. And we will see ya!
Peace.